did grant me a lot of opportunities to speak about my programs in 2018 and 2019. So I would recuse you, but I didn't even get enough. But I remember that across the country, I was granted an interview maybe only 10 times, 2018 and 2019 by TV stations. Some radio stations did very well. But every day, every hour, they're always granting interviews to proxies of candidates who would never come on TV. Some of the candidates, you go to their houses and beg them to speak with you. Those of us who want to talk about the most important socio-political issues affecting our people, you don't want to talk to us. We want to change strategy. Strategy change means that I have to be speaking, with my tongue in cheek about things that are very important for the Nigerian people. If the Nigerian people would figure out how to listen to us, we will go and speak to them through those outlets. And internet is there as well. And we have been using internet extensively. But I think there are also rules, regulations that says, that broadcast media in the country have a duty to allow all the candidates who are running for election, especially presidential candidates, to be covered equally. So you are also violating rules that you are freely subscribed to in the system. But where the broadcast media is not the issue, and it's these organizations, we have to call the organizations out. We don't have a right to leave out voices that you're uncomfortable with, that the leadership of your organizations are not comfortable with. There are lawyers, plenty of lawyers, yes, plenty of lawyers have been inside courtrooms more frequently than any Nigerian person that I know of, as sometimes even more than well-known terrorists. And I see all these lawyers, and they kept asking, what can we do for you? Some of them are part and parcel of our legal teams since 2019. We are in and out of court. So you deprive all these lawyers an opportunity to hear from one of their popular clients, and you tell me that's fair. It is wrong, and we must call them out. And I'm glad I was still about 5 months into the election. If our organization's planning events that will bring presidential candidates together, you have a chance to make sure that everybody is represented, especially those who are willing to show up, and not lay red carpets for those who will refuse to show up or who send proxies representatives. I think that's wrong.
Understood. So you will be staying true to your strategy.
Send proxies representatives. I think that's wrong.
Understood. So you will be staying true to your strategy regardless of the situation. Now let's move this conversation back to some of the issues on the front burner. Now we all know that the discourse around the economy is quite pertinent currently. Let's look at the macro and the country's economic and fiscal position. In light of being in a state of hyperinflation pretty much, how would you address the issue of Nigeria's mounting debt levels should you come into power?
Listen, what you need to look at when it comes to debt accumulation is first to look at your debt to GDP ratio. It's turning out that we are maxing out, not on that level yet, because I've looked at the numbers and discovered that it's still manageable. But the problem is that if you are not producing, if you are having security challenges, and you are accumulating debt for consumption instead of for production, you are going to be in trouble. You're going to have physical problem with the economic system. The other issue is, how do you manage your resources? If your resources are withered away and you are not these loans and debts, then you are going to have problems. And what I will do is to, first and foremost, ask for a moratorium when I become president of Nigeria on the debt issue, because I think the credibility of who emerges would also hold international confidence in the economy of Nigeria. And secondly, to look at the debts, which of them are genuine, because what you have seen even till now is that some of the monies that were borrowed as far back as military era were stolen. Abacha is an example of this. He's still sending money from his ATM all over the world to Nigeria. We just got $23 million the other day from the US. And some of the monies that he stole, so I'm sorry, which people said were up to $5 billion were some of the monies that they borrowed during those periods that never made it to the shores of Nigeria. So you have to investigate some of these debts or some of these borrowings that we are engaging in to make sure that they are actually getting to the shores of Nigeria and they are not sent into private bank accounts of some of these individuals in government. That thorough check and audit of our debt profile is very, very important before we go into the international community and ask for a moratorium where necessary. And when you have a clear idea of what these things are, then you can be talking about what's the exact ratio of your debt to your GDP. And of course, we cannot escape from engaging in real industrialization and production and investment in our people. And as long as this is not done, a debt overhang will always be a problem. But it's investments that are going on, productive investments that will bring in yield income into the country. Make sure that we don't rely completely on oil revenues and incomes alone, that we have non-oil exports and revenue, and that we feed our people, we pay them well and get incomes alone, that we have non-oil exports and revenue, and that we feed our people, we pay them well and get people back to work. We invest in education so that one day innovation, we drive development, absolutely in this country. And then these debt issues will not be the biggest problem you have to face. I lived in the US for 20 years. They had a debt counter on 14th Street in New York City. It's one of where it's located. And it tells you on an hourly basis how much the US is owing. US is probably the biggest debtor in the world. And they will tell you structures are going to bring about the change, the revolutionary change, because I hate to use the word change. It's been bastardized by the APC government. But the revolutionary process that we always ask of, that will bring an end to the misery in this country, that the people of Nigeria deserve better. And nothing but these organic structures that have been on the ground who are opposed, diametrically opposed to the flip-flopping structures of the major political parties can solve the problem. So the structures are there, and you are going to see them at work because they are not the kind of structures that can be compromised. They are organic, and they are not structures for show. They are structures for substance. And that's what I've been saying, and you are going to see them be at work. I would say to you that we may not have the big money that is thrown into the political process. Congress.
Absolutely, AAC. And we wish you the very best towards 2023. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much.